Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video on my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipeline. Visit my website at hairliciously.com to purchase our microneedling device, which is scientifically proven to stimulate hair growth, my low-level laser therapy cap, DHT blocking shampoo, conditioner, and serum, hair growth vitamins, and a few other products to help those who are losing hair. In today's video, I wanted to share with you something pretty interesting that I found out on one of the hair loss forums. As you guys may know, anytime a hair graft is removed from the back of the scalp via an FU extraction, it's gonna leave you guys with scars. If you have 1,800 grafts that is extracted, it's gonna leave you with 1,800 tiny scars, dependent on the punch size that was used. And in my case, I had a total of 3,500 grafts that were removed via FUE over 2 hair transplants. So if you were to closely examine the back of my scalp, you should theoretically see about 3,500 scars. This is, assuming that the doctor did indeed extract 3,500 grafts. But anyway, any hair transplant doctor who tells you otherwise that, an FUE procedure is scarless is 100% wrong. And if you guys ever come across a doctor or a clinic who says this is going to be a huge red flag, and you guys should run the other way and look for a more reputable hair transplant doctor. Now, the biggest benefit of FUE over an FUT as far as scarring is concerned is that instead of having this big visible linear scar in the back of your scalp, an FUE procedure strategically is going to remove each hair follicle from the donor area, which in turn is going to eliminate a visible linear scar, and instead it's going to create this minuscule dot-like scars that are scattered all throughout the donor area, making it far less detectable. One of the main issues a lot of patients who had undergone, multiple hair transplants and also these mega sessions is that the doctor is going to end up depleting and sometimes even over-harvesting the donor area. It's going to make the FU extractions far more visible. So apparently there is a way to fix the FUE scars, and this is done by something known as fit farming. It's also known as follicular isolation technique, and it's actually very interesting. I did some research, and in a nutshell, this technique involves using body hair grafts from the beard, the chest, the arms, and the legs, sometimes even kind of like the lower part of the nape area, and then extracting those grafts so that they can actually be implanted back into the previous FUE scars on the back of the scalp. This procedure is going to make FUE scars aesthetically disappear since you're filling in these scars with body hairs, but it also allows the native donor area to regain donor capabilities. Now, what I mean by this is that by filling in the previous FUE scars with body hair grafts, doctors can identify and actually differentiate the native hairs in the donor area from the body hair grafts that were implanted using a microscope. So theoretically, you're back to like having a full head of hair. You have more scalp hair grafts that can be extracted for another hair transplant session. This wouldn't be possible without the FIT farming technique because you'll end up with a much larger depleted and over-harvested donor area, and also, highly more visible scarring the more that you extract from the back of the scalp. I think a good analogy for this case is a full cup of water, which the water is going to represent your virgin donor zone. When you get one or more hair transplants, that cup of water is now half full, maybe even more so, depending on how much grafts you extract. And as you continue to get more and more hair transplants, you'll be left with little to no water in the cup. However, the FIT farming technique is going to fill back your cup with water, maybe about 30 to 40% more, and then you'll once again have more grafts left for transplantation. So here is a very good example of a guy who posted his FUE scar repair using the FIT or fit farming technique, and he says in his post, "Hey guys, I hope you find this case interesting. There are not many cases like this on the internet, and it will hopefully give you an insight on what can be achieved to restore depleted donor areas to either look normal or add density so more grafts can be extracted. This is called fit farming. I have had over 10 small FUE surgeries over the past 14 years with over 9,000 extractions overall. Results have been wonderful, but my donor has suffered some heavy battering. My goal was to achieve a homogeneous look on my donor area by adding 500 to 600 grafts for the donor, mixing nape and body hair transplant grafts, and also to be able to extend my donor capabilities. Nape grafts have a lower coverage, which nape hair is on the neck area, coverage value on the recipient area, but it's good enough to improve the gaps on the donor. Body hair transplants is quite thick, so we performed a 50 graft test on the left ear, which I am pleased about. I have chosen Dr. Mwamba as he has extensive FUE and body hair transplant experience, and I already had a good result on my frontal scalp with him. Surgery was 6 months ago in Brussels. So this is a photo of the guy's donor area pre-op that is cut at 3 millimeters. And with over 9,000 extractions, as he claims, his donor area, I think it still looks pretty good, but we can see obvious signs of scarring as the donor area is depleted and over-harvested, particularly kind of like on the top, middle, and the bottom area. And then here's another photo pre-op cut at 2 millimeters. Now this next photo shows some of the areas that will be repaired and filled in with body hair grafts. And then this photo here shows the nape hairs that were extracted, as you guys can see on the bottom, as well as the areas above the nape that was implanted with either body hair grafts or the extracted nape hairs. This next photo shows all of the areas in the donor area that were filled in. And then fast forward to the 4-month mark, he's actually seen some really incredible post-op results. Very, very good improvement to the donor area thanks to the combination of nape and body hair grafts that were implanted into his previously FUE scars. And to be honest, it no longer looks depleted or over-harvested. It looks really good, and most people won't even notice that this guy had 9,000 grafts, over 9,000 grafts that were extracted for hair transplantation. Here's another photo of the 50 body hair grafts that were tested out next to his left ear, which were, showing signs of depletion. And then 4 months later, it's filled in extremely well with absolutely no signs of thinning nor any visible scarring. You can kind of tell that the body hair transplant grafts are a bit more coarse and thicker, but since it's blended in with his pre-existing native hairs, it's really going to be undetectable or very hard to see to the naked eye. So definitely a very, very interesting procedure, and I would love to see a lot more hair transplant doctors utilizing this incredible technique. This guy, hands down has seen some tremendous improvement, not only to his previously heavily depleted, over-harvested donor area, but also he now has the ability to extract even more native grafts from his donor area for a future hair transplant. The other option to add in more density to depleted areas in the donor area is with scalp micropigmentation, also known as SMP. But the only downside to this is that this technique only works well in creating an illusion, in creating a fuller density. It's not going to give you the option for somebody to be able to extract further grafts from the native areas. It's simply best used when covering up FUE scars or even adding in density. But I think the best way to maximize full density is to use the two together. SMP to fill in the gaps closer, and using body hair grafts in FUE scars so that you can have more native hair grafts in the donor area to extract and use if you ever do need more additional grafts for hair transplantation. I'm really glad that I actually stumbled across this because I think it's going to be extremely helpful to those who have already depleted and over-harvested their donor area, but are looking for other ways to stretch out their donor supply. And I think this is by far the best and most realistic way to get the most hairs. This is also important because there's nothing better than using your native scalp hair from the back of the donor area for hair transplantation. You can obviously implant body hair grafts into your scalp using arm, chest hair, beard hair, but it's never going to be the same or have the same characteristics as scalp hair. And as far as my case, if you guys watched one of my more recent videos, I received a consultation by Dr. Cosmetica when I was in Turkey, Istanbul. And he informed me that I had roughly about 2,000, maybe 2,500 grafts left for a future hair transplant in the back of my donor area before I end up semi-depleting my donor area and making the FUE scars more visible. So, God forbid if I start losing more hair later on the road, at least I have this option where I can extract my very limited body hairs that I have and my beard hair into my FUE scars to minimize the appearance of depletion, and then have the option to extract more native grafts in my DHT-resistant donor zone for another hair transplant. Now, I do not know the exact survival rate for body hair grafts that are being implanted directly into the FUE scars, because whenever you guys are working on areas that have scars, there's never going to be a 100% survival rate. There's definitely going to be issues like reduced blood flow or blood levels on areas with scars. And if the body hair grafts are coming from places like the chest or the arms or the legs, where the hairs tend to have different characteristics, things like curliness, compared to scalp hair, there's going to be a higher transaction rate, and you should really take into consideration of this factor. But at the end of the day, typically around like 75-80% of body hair transplantations will survive, and it will definitely not only improve over harvested regions on the donor area, but also give you more options and also give you more native donor area hair grafts so that you guys can extract for additional hair transplants. That's gonna wrap up this video for today. I really hope that this has been educational. And even after 6 years after having my very first hair transplant, talking about all these different types of topics, I'm always still learning about new things, new techniques about hair transplants, hair loss medication, and I'm glad that I can be a resource for you guys. Also, I have a 20% off huge sale on all products on my website, hairliciously.com. You can use the promo code FATHER20 for an early pre-Father's Day sale, which ends June 19th. So please make sure to grab all of your microneedling devices, your DH debulking shampoos, conditioners, your serums, derm rollers, and all of that good stuff. If you guys have any questions, make sure to leave me some comments in the comment section below, or you guys can also reach me via email. Share in the comments on your thoughts on FIT farming or fit farming. But thank you so much for all of your support, guys, and I will see you guys in my next video.